Welcome to the decade that taste forgot, but whose aesthetic is forever seared into our collective memory. The 1970s, a time of disco, bell-bottoms, and food that looked like props from a low-budget sci-fi movie. If you open a cookbook from 1974, you'll see things that today look like either a fever dream or a stroke of avant-garde genius. This was the era when vegetables were drowned in mayonnaise, fruits were suspended in shimmering towers of gelatin, and a canned pineapple ring was considered the height of sophistication. We have gathered 25 side dishes that were once the kings of the dinner party, but now gather dust in the annals of history. Fasten your seatbelts. We're going on a gastronomic journey into the world of velvet tablecloths and avocado green Tupperware. 1. Perfection Salad, the savory Jell-O masterpiece. Let's start with a classic that sends shivers down the spines of Gen Z, the savory vegetable jelly. In the 70s, gelatin wasn't just for dessert, it was a structural material. Imagine a transparent, quivering mound infused with vinegar and sugar, encasing shredded cabbage, celery, red peppers, and sometimes bits of apple. It was the perfect way to serve a salad without it falling off the plate. Why do we want it back? Because it's a textural roller coaster that would look like a $50 appetizer in a modern Michelin star restaurant. 2. Glazed carrots with mint carrots in the 70s weren't just a side dish. They were a canvas. They were boiled until tender and then suffocated in a thick syrup of butter, sugar, and dried mint. This sweet and refreshing combination was the mandatory companion to every Sunday roast. It was the one dish that made kids eat their vegetables because, frankly, it tasted like candy. San. The pineapple cheese ball. If your 1978 housewarming party didn't feature a cheese ball, did you even have a party? This was a massive orb of cream cheese mixed with crushed canned pineapple, green peppers, and onions, all rolled in a thick coating of crushed pecans. Served with salty Ritz Crackers, it was the ultimate balance of sweet, salty, and fatty. We miss it because it's the most social side snack ever invented. 4. Creamed peas and pearl onions. This dish was the epitome of Sunday best elegance. Tiny white pearl onions and bright green peas swimming in a thick, velvety bechamel sauce. It transformed a simple roast chicken into a feast fit for royalty. It's creamy, comforting, and has that grandma's house flavor that we desperately miss in our fast food age. 5. The Jell-O ring with fruit gelatin is back for round 2. This time, it's the fruit ring. The ring mold was a household deity in the 70s. Inside the shimmering circle, you'd find canned mandarins, grapes, and maraschino cherries. The hollow center was almost always filled with a mountain of whipped cream or even more fruit. It was bright, cheap, and visually spectacular. 6. Deviled eggs with a 70s twist. Deviled eggs were everywhere, but in the 70s, people got creative. Sometimes too creative. They added everything from anchovies and capers to curry powder and pimientos. The golden rule. The filling had to be piped through a star-shaped nozzle to look as ornate as possible. Beauty was as important as taste. 7. Candied yams with marshmallows. While this survives today, mainly as a Thanksgiving relic, in the 70s, it was a regular Tuesday night side dish. Sweet potatoes baked under a thick, charred crust of melted marshmallows. It blurred the line between dinner and dessert, providing a sticky, sugary dopamine hit that went perfectly with glazed ham. 8. Watergate Salad, the pistachio delight. No politics involved here, just pistachio pudding. This salad was a fluffy green mix of instant pistachio pudding mix, canned pineapple, marshmallows, and Cool Whip. Why was it called a salad? Nobody knows, but it was eaten by the spoonful alongside savory meats, and it was glorious. 9. Canned asparagus. In the 70s, fresh asparagus was a rare luxury, but the canned variety was a superstar. Served cold, often draped in hollandaise sauce, or just a glob of mayo, it had a very specific olive drab color and a texture that melted in your mouth, mostly because it was so soft. We want it back for that nostalgic metallic tang that defined our childhood summers. 10. Potato fans. Hasselback potatoes. Potatoes sliced thinly, but not all the way through, basted with butter and herbs until they fanned out in the oven. In the 70s, this was how a hostess showed she wasn't lazy. It was the most photogenic side dish of the pre-Instagram era, crispy on the edges and soft in the middle. 11. Stuffed tomatoes. The insides of a tomato were scooped out and replaced with egg salad, tuna, or a mixture of seasoned breadcrumbs and cheese, then baked until bubbling. It was a sophisticated, pre-portioned side that looked stunning on the brown ceramic plates of the time. 12. Broccoli casserole with Ritz Crackers. Broccoli in the 70s was usually found swimming in a sea of processed cheese sauce. But the secret weapon was the topping, crushed Ritz crackers mixed with melted butter. That salty, buttery crunch was the best thing that ever happened to a vegetable. 13. Ambrosia salad, food of the gods, according to 1975. A mixture of oranges, coconut, marshmallows, pineapple, and sour cream. It was a tropical paradise in a bowl, and a mandatory guest at every backyard BBQ or picnic. 14. Copper carrot salad. Sliced carrots marinated in canned tomato soup, vinegar, sugar, onions, and green peppers. After a night in the fridge, the carrots turned a distinct copper hue. It was a surprisingly delicious, tangy, and crunchy side that deserves a comeback. 15. Rice pilaf. From a box homemade rice was boring until rice aroni arrived. The San Francisco treat featured vermicelli pasta bits and a heavy dose of savory seasonings. We miss that specific salty MSG-laden flavor that perfectly complemented a pork chop. 16. Waldorf salad with extra mayo apples, celery, walnuts, and grapes. In the 70s, the mayonnaise to fruit ratio was roughly 1:1. It was hearty, crunchy, and refreshing, all at the same time. The ultimate fancy salad. 17. Corn fritters. Deep-fried nuggets of dough filled with sweet corn kernels. These were the ultimate comfort food side dish. Often served with a drizzle of maple syrup, even when served with savory meat. They were a greasy, delicious delight. 18. Creamed spinach. In the 70s, we didn't eat raw spinach in smoothies. We stewed it into a thick puree with heavy cream, flour, and a hint of nutmeg. It was almost like a green sauce that made everything on the plate taste richer. 19. Green bean casserole. The Campbell's soup classic. Canned green beans, cream of mushroom soup, and those iconic French fried onions on top. This dish is the DNA of the 1970s. Salty, mushroomy, and crunchy. 20. Harvard Beets beets served in a thick, translucent, crimson sauce made of vinegar, sugar, and cornstarch. They were tangy, sweet, and served piping hot. The name suggested a scholarly dish, but it was just a brilliant way to make cheap beets look expensive. 21. Pineapple fritters in batter canned. Pineapple rings dipped in thick batter and deep fried, usually served with ham or pork. The combination of hot, sweet fruit and salty meat is a 70s classic that is long overdue for a trend revival. 22. Macaroni salad with pimientos cold elbow macaroni dressed in a thick coat of mayo, featuring tiny, bright red flecks of pimiento peppers. It was the obligatory companion to anything grilled on a charcoal BBQ. 23. Stuffed celery simple, fast, and quintessentially 70s. Celery stalks filled with either cheese whiz or peanut butter. It was the snack-side hybrid that kept kids quiet during dinner parties. 24. Cauliflower with cheese sauce. A whole head of cauliflower, steamed and then completely buried under a thick neon orange cheddar sauce. It looked like a cheese volcano and made cauliflower actually taste like something. 25. The Pear Salad. A canned pear half sitting on a piece of iceberg lettuce, topped with a dollop of mayo, a sprinkle of shredded cheddar cheese, and a maraschino cherry. This dish is the absolute peak of 70s weirdness. But those who tried it know. The flavor combination works in a way that defies logic. The 1970s were a time of culinary experimentation. People weren't afraid to mix the unmixable and turn an ordinary dinner into a theatrical performance. These side dishes remind us that food isn't just about calories. It's about creativity, humor, and a little bit of madness. Perhaps it's time to dust off that Jell-O mold and bring perfection back to your table. If you enjoyed this trip down culinary memory lane, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have plenty more videos exploring the forgotten history of our favorite foods, nostalgic brands, and the weird stories behind what we eat.